forgot to turn all the peripherals off as usual. So there's definitely going to be a little bit of a lag. I found that when we're up in the highest level, turning off the Wi-Fi and accessing the cellular is the best bet. So I had to go and turn that off. And then the second part of the experiment is tonight we're going to attempt to recreate exactly what I said in last night's stream, only condense it down into a concentrated form that's more understandable and digestible, while also freely using the microphone of the iPhone, being that last night we used the Bluetooth headset, and so while it picked up my voice rather well, all the peripheral sounds coming from the studio monitor speakers, both here and here, sounded very tinny and unacceptable as far as audio quality. So I do apologize for that. That was a little annoying when I reviewed it. I don't review all of my streams, but I reviewed that one and definitely had some issues. So last night we were briefly going through the synthesizer collection and highlighting some basic features of both my main two, being the Moog Sub Fatty, which is no longer available, which is very unfortunate, and which I said last night was probably the most amazing analog synthesizer you could get sub $1,000. So I think the Moog 37 is pretty similar. There's a couple ones out there that are close, but nothing like the Sub Fatty. And then we talked about the Korg MS-20 Mini. So this one is actually both the Moog and the Korg are currently plugged into the Korg SQ1 synthesizer, or excuse me, sequencer, which is the pattern you're hearing. And mostly what you're hearing is the Moog currently plugged in. Now, if I were to turn up the Korg, you would hear some, in my opinion, undesirable sounds. So this is more of a player, and you can get the oscillators to sound melodic. This one takes a lot of work in understanding the programming of both the main control knobs with your VCOs and low pass filters, but also the actual semi-modular component here of actually programming with the circuit board. So that's that, but what I think is a lot more fun is you can see the pattern being displayed here. You can manipulate that. And slow it down. Believe it or not, every single one of these knobs here, depending on the degree to which the pot is turned, dictates the tone being played on the actual keyboard, hence the sequence. I tend to like it to be a little less busy though. So just getting back to the main sequence there, now watch this. And hopefully the audio should be a little bit better than last night's version of this. And that's just having the Moog programmed for a percussive noise. Really, I use synthesizers for melodic noises. And that's all just sequence. You can take control of the synth at any time via the keyboard. So then, just going back to the sequence there. So I'm going to be very interested to come back and review this and see if the audio quality has improved. So that's the main two as far as the analogs, the Korg MS-20 Mini and the Moog Subfatty. So coming back over here to the micro synth section that we visited last night. And I also mentioned in this morning stream while we were exercising that I was going to try a new beer tonight, which I think I've had one of these before. This is a Riot Juice. It's a sour ale with blackberry, lime, and vanilla, apparently. It's only 5.5% ABV, so shouldn't come in too spicy. But you can see an elaborate array of micro synths here, all of which I'm able to hook into studio monitors via my new L12 live track zoom system that we got earlier this year. Okay, we're gonna let that chill out there for a second because that's getting a little crazy. This is a 16-ounce can, so a little bit left over on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the SQ1 so we can show some of these other micro synths here. Now some of these are pretty interesting. And take a sip of this Riot Juice. It's a little sour, but goes down smooth. Here's an interesting piece of musical gear. This is the SP404SX linear wave sampler. Now this thing, let's see if we can find something to plug into it. Sorry, it's always an exercise in configuration here. And we've done quite a lot today, considering we started the day with exercise. And we did end up doing our 147 push-ups, but they didn't all get done on camera. And ended up going to work. There. Came home and did a puppy patrol video. And went back to work, and then went to the shooting range. Verified the 0 on my ACOG, and then we still ended up coming home and going out back and shooting the 1022 in anticipation of an apple seed I got coming up, as well as my Glock 20. Now here we go. This thing's fun. Watch this. I see why it keeps turning off and back on. There's all kinds of samples on here.
A new world order.
You hear that?
A new world order. A new world order.
That's Herbert Walker's George Bush Sr.
A new world order.
I got a sample of him saying a new world order.
A new world order.
That's fun. It's like a roll. So that's the SP404. I used to have an SP202 about 15, maybe 20 years ago. Bought it off a dude who, unfortunately couldn't pay his rent. So he gave it to me dirt cheap, like half the price he bought, probably about a month before that. So that's the sampler. And I think probably to keep this short and sweet, we'll just show various array of these micro synths here. Probably one of my favorite being the ribbon synthesizer, which is really interesting. This is the Korg Monotron. You can get the regular Monotron, which comes in purple, but this is the delay, which they give this little kind of space graphic to. And for fitting reasons, I think yesterday I had a little bit of a jam going on where I had that SQ1 Korg sequencer in the background going with this, but this thing, let's see, man, it's a little loud. Hold on. Let's put it on square. That's a lot of sound for a tiny little synth. This thing's really cool. You have the ability to put in an auxiliary, so you could actually run one of those main synths like the Korg or the Moog through this, and then use the effects of the delay Monotron. And that's just with a built-in speaker. Then you have the two Teenage Engineering pocket operators, and these are a little bit more pricey, spendy than they were a few years ago. Kind of like the Raspberry Pi stuff, which I talked about not only in this morning's stream, but in last night's stream. It's a lot of technical stuff that I'm sure a lot of people probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but these are the things that I've spent some time on. These little synths, little pocket synths, as well as the little micro Linux computers. But these things, they will play music on their own, see? Probably can barely hear that. Same thing with this guy here. And I'm turning all the way up. But with the power of studio monitors, well, that should show you. So that's the arcade Teenage Engineering pocket operator. And unfortunately, after a couple of years, kind of a thing that I found, the little contacts start kind of navigating away from each other. So you got to put a rubber band around them. That's the arcade. And this is what they call the submarine. See what I just did there? It rebooted because it lost the contact. Now watch this. That's almost crazy loud. There we go. The keys the little buttons are surprisingly what we call velocity sensitive, meaning that they express the sound, they make the circuit as soon as you press them. So as a musician, you could actually play that as an instrument, which makes these little pocket operators pretty freaking interesting, in my opinion. This sub one is probably my favorite. You can see there's a little submarine. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to configure the light so you can. But you can see that they have a little clock on them, but I can never keep a connection long enough to keep anything accurate, so I just use them as little instruments. See, just lost contact. So, and those, you could get them for like $60 when I first started buying those. I saw they were commanding a much higher price but probably the flagship of the teenage engineering is, of course, the OP1 synthesizer. And we'll see, this one's kind of needs use. I've been kind of wearing down the battery on this over the last couple of years, but this as well is a very musician-friendly micro synth. You can see how small it is. These you can get, I've seen, for maybe $600 or $700 over the last couple of years. They used to command about $950 at least. But these are extremely powerful little tiny synths, and they're full on, I mean, recording studio. There's a lot of things you can do on this that I don't even know how to do. There's like vast amounts of actual videos out there. But you can see, I have to hold it up to do it, but it's a little hard for me to play because my hand is swollen from several bee stings that I sustained yesterday, which has been kind of a problem. So that's the teenage engineering section. And then we have a whole elaborate array of the stylophone section. We have the stylophone Gen X1, which I won't regale you with too much noise from because I'm still trying to figure out. Apparently I left it on. Still trying to figure this one out. This has got a lot of features that I just don't understand yet. I really don't like to have to make the contact of two pieces of metal. But such is the way with the stylophones. Oh, it came disconnected. Isn't that gnarly? But that's the Gen X1. The S1. Let's see. Whoa. It is the one that was used by David Bowie. So those are the stylophones, and we have the original Beatbox too, which is discontinued, which is kind of unfortunate. You can get the stylophone Beat now, and though it's got more elaborate controls, I think this one is kind of hits the sweet spot a little bit better. Oh, crap. Sorry, I forgot this was still streaming. So I guess that's pretty much it. Hey, Red Pill Phil. Sweet collection. I can actually see the chat section for once. For some reason, my phone's been all in a display weirdness recently where I can't see it, but I can see it now. But yeah, I really wish I had a few of the organs that I used to have. Probably one of the things that I'm going to be exploring here in the coming weeks is this Roland VK7 here. Because this is really interesting that it's like a, I don't know, early 90s piece of technology, which was supposed to mimic the Hammond organ series of organs. And I actually used to have a Hammond M100, which I have a lot of recordings of me playing on. And I really wish I still had it, but that thing weighed like 500 frickin' pounds. And I actually sold it to a friend of mine when I had to get out of Bloomington, Illinois, real quick after I graduated college. And I just couldn't schlep it with me. So yeah, that thing, it was crazy. It had a tone wheel and it took oil. Imagine that. An organ that took oil. And it was built to hook up to a Leslie cabinet, for those that, if you know, you know, I guess on that. But yeah, and we've been playing my banjo, which I need to go set this aside because it needs a string change. So it needs to go back there. I just recently contacted a man that I met through YouTube, of all places, believe it or not, that I was able to get the information about that particular Alvarez banjo to date it and figure out the where it came from. And it's not one of the coveted 1970s Japanese Alvarez banjos, unfortunately. It is a 2000 model. I don't know if you can see that back there. Manufactured in Korea, according to the gentleman who has some expertise on the matter. So I've been schlepping that Alvarez banjo. I mean, it's a nice looking banjo and it sounds great. I mean, it's 25 years old now, so they say a banjo takes, roughly 20 years to actually settle in. So I think it's hit its sweet spot. It's had the same strings for 15 years and same drum head that it was manufactured with. So look at the back of that. So there's that. But yeah, I wish I could, I wonder if there's any way I could hook this up. There's actually a cord here. I'm looky there. There you can get a sense of. Great thing about this. Oh, that's the overdrive. Unlike my analog synthesizers, it is polyphonic, so you can hear multiple keys at once. Isn't that overdrive? You can hear how it's supposed to sound like a Hammond. Think back to the 60s. have to play this more. This thing's pretty interesting. Over here. Sounds like early Genesis. Watcher in the skies. Anyway, looks like we got slow traffic, so we're gonna go ahead and conclude. I'm gonna come back as an audio experiment and see how this sounded, just utilizing the iPhone microphone as opposed to last night running it through the Bluetooth. And then I actually have this new Chinesium microphone that I purchased over the weekend to replace my Rhodes, which actually went kaput, so no more Rhodes. Microphone, that wireless microphone has been doing its job for 5 years, but it's finally done. So anyway, that's it for tonight. I got some pizza to eat and some beer to drink and some sleep to experience. So with that, shalom.